We're back to the Neil Haley Show and also the Media Giant Effect and the Kim Sorrell Celebrity segment. I'm excited to welcome the program my co-host, Kim Sorrell, author of Love Is. Kim, how are you? And this is a really interesting, sad story, but he's out to make a difference in people's lives based on this story, isn't he, Kim?
Yeah, he sure is. I'm so happy to meet you, Shaun. Shaun Tomson, a top 10 in the world ever surfer, top 25 in the world ever influential surfer, right? And your surfing career was bar none amazing. You developed things that people are using and just absolutely incredible. And then came up with the surfer's code, which everybody should use. Like everybody should know this. And went through this so sad. I'm so sorry for the loss of your son. Such a difficult time. But I so admire how you went through this horrible, horrific time and have made it something good to come out of it, and trying to help people around the world and really changing people's lives. And your latest book, The Surfer and the Sage, unbelievable. And so anyway, Shaun, so nice to meet you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kim. It's wonderful to be with you and Neil. And this time of year is a wonderful time of year. It's a time of year for hope. Certainly, with 2023 right in our sights, it's a wonderful time to be introspective, I think, and think on the past year, and certainly think about what's coming, the next wave, to use a surfing metaphor.
I like the whole thing, next wave. And Shaun, tell me, specifically enough how you became a surfer. Did you always want to surf?
Well, I didn't. I had no awareness of surfing. I grew up in a place called Durban, South Africa, 11,000 miles from here, a long way away on the southern hemisphere at about 32 degrees latitude. It's subtropical seaport in South Africa, one of the biggest seaports in South Africa. My dad was a famous swimmer in his youth. He had dreams of one day competing in the Olympic Games. He was a surfer, and in one of the first recorded shark attacks on a surfer, my father was very badly hit by a shark. It nearly killed him, just ripped his right arm apart. But he never lost this amazing love for the ocean. And even though he'd had this terrible attack and destroyed his Olympic career, he taught me how to swim and surf about 100 yards away from where he'd had this attack. So at a young age, he sort of inculcated in me this love for the ocean, but also an awareness for the danger. And certainly it's a wonderful metaphor for life, I think, to be aware of the dangers, but also to connect to your passion. And that's what I did throughout my surfing career. I competed on the pro tour for nearly 20 years, and won 19 major pro events and had a wonderful career. I started a wonderful company while I was competing called Instinct, which grew to be a market leader. And I had the opportunity of not only building the company, but also mentoring other young guys that I sponsored, two of whom became world champions and competed against me at the same time, which was great. And I got involved with my first environmental group called Surfrider Foundation, which today is the biggest surfing environmental group in the world. So surfing taught me not just to go out there and catch waves, but also to contribute to society, to contribute to the sport. I was one of the founders of professional surfing, and also one of the founders of, I suppose, the surfing industry. So I try to put a lot into my sporting career. I try to keep it challenging. I try to keep it exciting, and it's been a wonderful ride, I must say.
Yeah, I love the metaphors, the wave, the ride. There's somebody that you can use, and what a legacy. So really, your father was so inspirational that he went back into the ocean and basically taught you that you can overcome whatever and go on and do whatever. And that's so cool. And so now the Surfer's Code, how did you come up with that?
So what the Surfer's Code is, it's a way to, I think, both inspire and also activate hope and purpose in people. So many years ago, a friend of mine who had started Surfrider Foundation, which, like I said, is the biggest surfing environmental group in the world, phoned me up and he said, my adopted home break, which is called Rincon, it's just south of where I live in Montecito in Santa Barbara, was facing an environmental challenge. He wanted to help get it solved. He said it was a big problem, it was a $30 million problem. And he said he was going to give me $100 budget to solve the problem with him. And I went like that. That's crazy. Like, how can I do anything for $100? He said, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring a group of children to the beach, of kids, about 100 kids, and I'm going to bring the local water board and the local government agencies to the beach as well, and the media. And I want you to give the kids something to inspire them, so that we can raise consciousness and awareness of this problem and hopefully solve it through activating the kids. So I went home that night, and I did something so simple, and this is what I keep on my desk. It was given to me recently on a wonderful trip I did to El Salvador. But it's those three words are great. And what I've found throughout my life is that words have great power, and the words that have the greatest power of all are our own words. Yes, words of others are inspirational, but our words are transformational. It's really, really, really simple. So what I did is I pulled out a sheet of paper and I wrote 12 lines, every line beginning with I will. I read it in like 20 minutes, 12 lines. I will always paddle back out. I will never turn my back on the ocean. I will realize that all surfers are joined by one ocean. It was really simple metaphors. The basic 12 lessons that surfing had taught me about life, about honor, integrity, camaraderie, commitment, courage. And I printed up a little card, like a credit card, and I printed up 100 cards, cost me $100, and I gave them out to the kids that came down to the beach. And the kids loved the cards, because kids love code, they love something a little bit mysterious, but they love something that's simple that they can grasp. And the kids loved the cards, the media loved the cards, and we handed some cards out to the government and state people. And yes, ultimately we solved the environmental problem, we raised a bond, and the problem was solved. But that sort of activated the consciousness. But the cards kept on rolling. The cards kept on rolling like a wave. And more people would ask for the cards. And we started putting the cards into the pockets of our clothing. And thousands and tens of thousands of these cards were getting distributed out into the culture. And then people started phoning me up and saying, hey, Shaun, why don't you come and talk to our group about a code? And I'm talking big groups. I wasn't a speaker. I was in the apparel business. My wife and I, we had a company called Solitude. We made clothes. So people would phone, hey, Shaun, we're doing a leadership conference. We'd love you to talk about a code. I'm going, well, tell me about it. Well, you're going to be the first speaker. It's going to be 2,000 people. After you is Malcolm Gladwell, and after him is Richard Branson. So suddenly I'm doing these huge,
oh my goodness,
just based around this little code. And then ultimately the code led to a book. And then this is the way life can happen. And for any listeners out there, one of the things I encourage people to do, and I don't give prescription. I just like give a perspective. I want to tell you how it happened with me. And I like to say yes to things. I'm sitting at Rincon, the same break that had the environmental challenge that we solved. And a guy paddles up to me in the water. He says, Shaun, I'm a headmaster. I'm a principal at our local school in Santa Barbara. We only got 80 kids. We've got 2 old farmhouses that we teach from. He said, I would love you to talk to the kids about Surface Code, because the book had come out. So I went, okay, and I go down to the school and I'm talking to the kids, the students, 80 of them, about Surface Code. I got my book with me. And I say to kids, Surface Code's my code. I wrote it. 12 lines, 105 words. I wrote it in about 15 or 20 minutes. Why don't all of you write your own code? Write your 12 lines and send it to me. Just a completely on the spur of the moment. There was no thought. I just said, write your code. And I had about 2 months before lost my beautiful son, Matthew. He was at school and all the kids wore school ties and uniforms, and all the kids played this terrible game called the choking game. They played it with their school ties. So he played this dangerous game, and my wife and I lost our son. So, we were very broken and grief-stricken, and the surface code and talking to people about it was my way of dealing with the grief and helping memorialize the life of my son. Now, when the kids sent me the code about a week later, so there was 80 kids times 12, nearly 1,000 lines of code. The very first line of code I read was, "I will always be myself." And I cried when I read those lines, because for anyone that's listening that has children, you know that the terrible choices that our children are faced with every day: social media, peer pressure, victimization, bullying. It's like coming at kids, not in our era, this social media era, and this is a different world, and it's a very, very dangerous world. But this young girl, "I'll be myself," it was power, 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 power. And then I read all these beautiful lines that these other children wrote. "I will do what I say I will do. I will not do what others want me to do simply to please them." Just beautiful, beautiful spiritual words, but like passion, purpose. And I immediately phoned up after this. I got so inspired by the kids' words. I immediately phoned up my co-author, Patrick Mose, a wonderful guy. And I said, "Patrick, we're going to write another book, and it's going to be called The Code, The Power of Our Will. And it's going to be a framework for making positive decisions, for creating hope, for creating a simple vehicle so kids can write down their purpose and be empowered. And when that decision comes, perhaps they'll think twice, and perhaps they'll be empowered to not go with the flock, to not go with the way everyone else is going." And that's how it sort of happened. And then my latest book is sort of an outgrowth of what I've seen in the world over the last couple of years since COVID.
You know what, Shaun, I tell you, the success, again, being on the Today Show, all those different things, you just couldn't imagine that. The speaking with, the same place with Richard Branson from the start to this now, where you've grown and developed. What is your ultimate goal to the message you want to get out to the world?
So I really believe that two words, "I will," equal power. So those are two words of absolute unequivocal commitment. And they're about hope, because they're about the future. They're not about now, but they're about what's going to be happening in the future. So if people really want to create transformational change, they want to make a difference, and they've sort of been struggling in this darkness, or struggling in this time of confusion when we're bombarded by crap all day, write your code. Take a sheet of paper, write 12 lines, every line beginning with "I will." And if you want to magnify the impact of the transformational power of your own words and the inspirational power of your own words, do it as a family, do it as a sports team, do it as a business group, do it as a group of people in recovery. If you're in a corporation, do it with your sales team, do it with your ops team. I would like every single person at one time during their life to write the code. 12 lines, every line beginning with "I will." It is a way to find and define your purpose. I say, and this is no bullshit, find your purpose, find your power, and you'll find your path. It's really simple. We've done a really cool academic study on this. I mean, people have written to me, "I lost 50 pounds as a result of doing my code. My relationship with my son is better. It has pulled me out of the mud. It has given me hope." And this code, it's open source code. Anyone can use it. It's absolutely free. There's no charge. In fact, when you ask, what my goal is, I would like every person on this planet to, at one time during their lives, to write their code. I'll tell you who needs it right now. The United States of America needs it. I would love every single congressman, every single senator to write their code and stand up loud and proud and read the code. And you know what it will do? And you know what I've found in the over 1 million people that I've spoken to about this code process? You have Republicans on one side of the valley, you have Democrats on the other side of the valley, and you have a black chasm in between. I'll tell you what, the code is a way to create a bridge, because when people stand up and read their code, they read the best version of themselves. and they read about their values. And when people read their code, you can't tell whether they're Republicans or Democrats. They're just part of this human race. And when you read the code, you create this feeling of emotional engagement and connectivity between people, but you also create accountability. When you say, I will be a better spouse, you will be a better spouse. Or when you say, I will be a better father, you will be a better father, because you have committed to that absolutely, unequivocally in front of a group. So you have that added commitment to achieve this purpose that you have defined. So you can see how enthusiastic I am about this simple little tool that was given to me and inspired by children. By children. It was
Children are the ones that usually inspire these things, Shaun. And Kim would agree. And Kim wrote a book about love. Kim, explain that to Shaun, because I think it really fits into the I will for sure today.
Yeah, well, a few years ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer,
Oh,
and
so
4 months, yeah, but I'm doing great though. But 4 months later, my husband was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer
so
and died 6 weeks after that.
I'm so sorry for your loss. I just feel for you.
Yeah, well, thank you. And it made me, for whatever reason or a lot of reasons, question the true meaning of love. So I decided I would dedicate a full year to figure out the real meaning of love that seems to be this mystery, or seems to be something we're taught wrong about. There's so many things done in the name of love, said in the name of love, that are not love. And so I was in Haiti most of the time when I was working on it. And the things that I discovered about love just rocked my world, changed my life, blew my mind. So many of the things that you're saying um, go hand in hand with love. And the passion that you have is obviously coming from a place of love. And so anyways, so yeah, so I wrote this book. Love is, it's not a unicorns and rainbows kind of a love book. It is the true stories of what happened in Haiti, like being chased by a motorcycle gang and getting lost on a mile-high mountain and sleeping outside with tarantulas and snakes and chupacabras or whatever it is that lurks in the bushes of Haiti. And I have that same passion. I share your passion that I want to get the word out there. And I absolutely agree with you. I would love for you to speak to Congress and them to do this exercise would be amazing. I would guess that a lot of the things that the Democrats wrote on their paper would be exactly the same things that the Republicans would write on their paper, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, you mentioned that you spent a year searching for the meaning of love. So over the last, since 2006, 24th of April 2006 was really when my journey started. And I have found that through this program, I've come to understand what the meaning of life is. Now, you know, this is a sort of an intractable problem that philosophers have grappled with for thousands of years. And I've just observed through what people write, through when they write their code, they write what's important to them. And they write essentially the meaning of life. And the meaning of life can, because everyone, while they write different words on their codes, they only write 2 lines which describe the meaning of life. The one is, and the mission of life is, I will be better. We all want to be better. We want to be lifelong learners. We want to be better husbands. We want to be better wives. We want to be better dads. We want to be better. We want to be more successful. We want to be happier. We want to be more fulfilled. We want to be healthier. We want to be better. But that's only one half of it. The other half is that people write, I will help others be better. So those are the only 2 things people write. I'll be better and I'll help others be better. And it's wonderful to see this simplicity of these commitments that people make. They don't write those exact words, but they will write in their 12 lines, about half of them are about self being better, and about half of them are about helping others be better. I will be a mentor. I will be a teacher. I will volunteer. I will lift others up when they're down. I will be a better leader. You know, it's wonderful to see how simple our life mission is.
Truly. Wow. You know, Kim, I'm blown away. Shaun, I'm blown away by you. And the fact is, you're inspiring me to try this exercise, especially for myself. And where can people purchase both books? Because you said the second book's a bestseller, but ultimately, the first book, is that talk more about the code, the first book, or is it more to get to read more about who you are?
Well,
Where's the
Surface Code, my first book's out of print now. So that one, I mean, you can still get it on eBay or whatever. The second book, The Code, that you can get on Amazon. It's been reprinted, lots and lots of times. The brand new book is also available on Amazon. That's called The Surfer and the Sage, and that was my co-author was Noah Ben-Shir, who's a very well-known poet, philosopher, Pulitzer Prize nominated, just a wonderful guy. And the latest book is available on Amazon, and it's also available from the publisher. It's called Familius, and their whole goal, our publisher is super cool, is to make families happier. It's a wonderful mission. My first publisher, their goal was to enrich mankind. So it's wonderful to be aligned with publishers that want to move the needle and want to make a difference. But the latest book, it's very inexpensive. It's like $18. It's actually a beautiful. It's a beautiful little
Yeah.
book. It's a guide to survive and ride life's waves. That's what we wrote about, and it's really about the duality of life. There's 18 chapters because 18 is a sacred number in Hebrew. We both Jews. It means chai, it means life. So the book's about life, and the book's about the duality of life. And the 18 chapters, each chapter has a title, moving from the darkness, from despair to hope. So every single chapter is about that duality, and we hope that the book will give people inspiration to move, from a state of anxiety to a calm state, from doubt to faith, from guilt to forgiveness, because that's life. Life is not like you say. Your book's not all rainbows and unicorns. This book isn't as well. It's got the darkness and the light.
Such a connection. I tell you, the code is big because again, you're doing that. You're available to speak anywhere, right, Shaun? People can check you out on your website, right?
Yeah, you can just go to my website, ShaunTomson.com. And what I love to do is connect with people on LinkedIn. I post often on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. I also post on Instagram. So I'm very, very easy to contact. I speak at all sorts of groups. Every time I do a paid speaking engagement for these large organizations, massive ones, Google, Cisco, GM, etc., I do a free one. I love to do it. So I talk to jails, I talk to PTSD survivors, rehab clinics, community group, all sorts of groups. I love to share the message because, I had this dreadful tragedy. My wife and I, we lost our beautiful, beautiful son. And I think one way to help myself is by helping others. And that's what I've come to realize, is that when you give, the real recipient is the person giving, not the person who's accepting the gift. So, I love to share my perspective. I love to share hope because I know that I relied on a lot of people, and my head was on a lot of shoulders when I was going through grief. And it's wonderful to see, no matter what political persuasion you are, you see our current president, Joe Biden, who lost a wife, who lost a son, and is using his empathy and grief to make the world a better place.
Okay. Well, we appreciate it, Shaun. Thanks for stopping by.
Neil, thanks for having me, and to both of you. Kim, awesome. I'm going to get your book, and happy holidays to both of you.
All right. Fantastic. You're listening and watching The Neil Haley Show. We'll be back in just a moment. All right. It should have stopped.